Have you ever woken up from a nightmare with your heart racing, your body covered in a cold sweat, wondering why your mind conjured such unsettling images? Maybe there was a chase through a dark forest, a familiar face twisted into something threatening, or an overwhelming sense of dread that lingered long after the dream ended. Nightmares have an eerie way of gripping us, even when we try to convince ourselves they're just dreams. Yet there's something about the intensity of these nocturnal visions that begs us to look closer. What if those dark, haunting landscapes aren't merely random horrors but secret messages from a part of ourselves we rarely meet in the light of day? When nightmares recur, it's natural to feel as though our psyche is being held hostage by forces beyond our control. We might blame stress, point to the past day's anxieties, or brush them off as an overactive imagination. But what if these nighttime terrors are a plea from our inner world, urging us to confront something deeper? If you're among the many people who have tried to suppress or ignore these unsettling dreams, you're not alone. Our culture often tells us to avoid the uncomfortable and focus on the positive. Yet beneath that advice lies a crucial truth. These images, these monsters in the dark, might be the very key to unlocking a treasure chest of self-awareness. They could be guiding you to examine hidden parts of your own psyche, and in doing so, release a tremendous amount of stored energy. Carl Gustav Jung, one of the founding figures in analytical psychology, introduced the concept of the shadow. In simple terms, the shadow is made up of aspects of ourselves that we've repressed, denied, or deemed unacceptable for one reason or another. According to Jung, what we bury in the unconscious doesn't simply disappear. It morphs into shapes and forms that can haunt our dreams, nightmares included. By illuminating these shadows, we're not fueling darkness but rather dispelling it. We're learning to work with parts of ourselves that remain unacknowledged, thus unraveling their control over our waking lives. And when we do, the nightmares themselves can become an avenue for deep healing and lasting personal transformation. If you're ready to explore how your shadow might be speaking through your nightmares, and why that's actually a powerful invitation, stay tuned. And as you settle in, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more insights on the deeper layers of the mind. Now, let's journey together and awaken to the truth hiding in our darkest dreams. The essence of Jung's shadow is that every person carries concealed traits, patterns, impulses, and feelings that we'd rather not see in ourselves. Perhaps we think we're always kind, so our hidden irritability becomes part of the shadow. Or we pride ourselves on being fearless, pushing any hints of vulnerability underground. Over time, these unacknowledged qualities can rise to the surface in unexpected ways. In nightmares, the shadow might manifest as a menacing figure chasing you. Or maybe you find yourself trapped in a suffocating environment, reflecting a part of you that feels suppressed by day. One aha moment for many people is realizing that nightmares often reveal truths they'd never consciously admit. For example, consider a young artist named Lucia, who was plagued by repeated dreams of being lost in a labyrinth of hallways. In her dreams, the doors were always locked, and she felt frantic. After exploring her shadow, she discovered the nightmare mirrored her fear of not being good enough. She was burying that self-doubt so deeply that it emerged in dream form as a claustrophobic maze. The truth is, our unconscious mind uses symbolism and metaphor because it's the most direct language it knows. During the day, we rationalize our way around discomfort. At night, these images bypass our rational filters, dramatizing our repressed emotions. Think of nightmares like a heartfelt letter from your unconscious, but instead of words, it uses potent symbols to drive the point home. This can be shocking, but also awakening. It's like receiving a warning light on your car's dashboard. Ignoring it doesn't fix the engine. Once you start taking these messages seriously, the fear factor can lessen. you realize that your inner world isn't out to get you. In fact, it's trying to help you course correct and grow. Now, how do we begin to decode these messages? One approach is dream journaling. Keep a notebook or digital recorder by your bed. The moment you wake, especially if you've just had a nightmare, jot down whatever you can remember. The images, emotions, colors, and any specific phrases. This simple practice is both therapeutic and revealing. Often, patterns emerge, repeated symbols, recurring feelings of being judged, abandoned, or hunted. These patterns hint at underlying issues in your waking life. Are you scared of confrontation at work? Do you feel unseen by a loved one? Do you harbor anger that you think isn't appropriate to express? By linking these patterns to your real-life context, you begin a dialogue with your shadow. It's not about blaming yourself for having dark traits. It's about integrating them so they don't sabotage you from below your conscious awareness. The beauty is that once you start acknowledging these hidden aspects, the nightmares often lose their intensity because their message is finally being heard. A second layer of Jungian thought that supports shadow work is the understanding of archetypes. Archetypes are universal themes or characters that arise in myths, art, and across different cultures. You might see a wise old man or a nurturing mother figure in your dreams, or even face monstrous animals representing primal instincts. These archetypal figures can point to deeper currents in your psyche. One friend of mine, Samuel, consistently dreamt of a wolf following him at a distance. At first, he was terrified, but working with Jung's framework, he came to realize the wolf symbolized aspects of courage and instinct he needed to reclaim in his waking life. Instead of resisting his own animal side, his raw passion, his gut-level courage, he began to welcome it. Over time, that nightmare transformed into a dream where he stood side by side with the wolf, drawing strength rather than fear. That's the alchemical magic of honoring the symbols within us. Nightmares become guides instead of tormentors. As you listen to this, you might wonder if diving into nightmares and the shadow could be overwhelming. Yes, it can be intense, but think of it like exploring a deep cave with a flashlight. At first, the darkness seems endless. You don't know what lurks in the corners. Yet once you shine the light around, you realize it's not as terrifying as you thought. The shadows shift and become recognizable formations. This process invites an aha moment, the realization that these nightmares are not external monsters but fragmented pieces of your own psyche, longing to be recognized. That recognition alone can liberate a huge amount of emotional energy, ultimately making you feel more whole. To support your journey, remember you can always reach out for professional guidance. Therapists, especially those trained in Jungian or depth psychology, can provide a safe container for unraveling the messages in your dreams. If you find these insights meaningful, give this video a like so that we can continue creating content that delves into the mysteries of the mind. Every share, like, and comment fuels our ability to bring Jungian wisdom into a modern context. Another concept that helps us understand nightmares is the personal unconscious, an internal repository of thoughts, experiences, and impressions unique to you. While archetypes lean on universal motifs, your personal unconscious is shaped by your individual life story, childhood memories, traumas, cultural influences, and all the beliefs you've internalized about yourself. For instance, imagine someone who grew up with strict parents, who disapproved of any display of anger. This person might have learned to bottle up all hints of rage, labeling them as bad or dangerous. Over time, that unexpressed anger festers, often finding release through nightmares about fires burning out of control or giant waves threatening to engulf everything in sight. The hidden truth here is that repressed anger, fear, or sadness can't be contained forever. It seeps out through dreams, sometimes disguised but always carrying the emotional charge that demands recognition. An aha moment often occurs when you notice how your nightmare's themes connect to something in your daily life. You might say, "Oh, that terrifying dream about being stranded alone at sea actually reflected how isolated I've felt at work, but never admitted to myself." Once you bridge the nightmare to your waking struggle, you open a gateway to healing. This is where self-reflection questions become invaluable. Ask yourself, which situations in my daily life trigger similar feelings of fear or helplessness? What parts of myself am I afraid to let others see? These questions gradually unveil the root of your nightmares, allowing you to address them directly instead of simply being at their mercy. As you practice dream journaling and self-inquiry, you'll likely experience breakthroughs, the moments you realize that your nightmares have been pointing to issues you can actually solve. One such scenario might be a recurring theme of being judged by a group of faceless figures. This could signal social anxiety or a fear of rejection. Once you make that connection and work on healthy ways to build confidence, joining supportive groups, practicing assertive communication, or seeking therapy, the nightmares may diminish. Another scenario: if your nightmares revolve around a specific person who consistently appears threatening or disapproving, it could mirror unresolved tension in an actual relationship. You might discover that you've been projecting your own insecurities onto this individual. Confronting the issue in real life, whether through an honest conversation or seeking closure, might reduce the frequency or intensity of the dream. These real-world examples illustrate a key Jungian principle. The unconscious is always seeking balance. It sends us messages, be it through nightmares or daily triggers, to help us restore equilibrium within ourselves. Alongside these revelations, it's crucial to nurture practical ways of working with your shadow. One application is the practice of active imagination, a technique Jung devised where you re-enter a dream or a vivid image in a relaxed but conscious state and allow the scene to unfold. If a nightmare figure was chasing you, you might close your eyes, breathe deeply, and visualize confronting it. You might ask it questions: why are you chasing me? What do you represent? And then wait for answers to emerge spontaneously from your imagination. This can lead to a dialogue that humanizes the once dreaded figure. Another practical step is to channel your nightmares into creative expression through art, writing, or even movement. By externalizing the images, you're saying to your unconscious, "I see you, I'm listening." This simple act can be profoundly healing, as it prevents the repressed energy from stagnating in your psyche. Picture your shadow like a treasure chest locked in a dark attic. The more you pretend it's not there, the dustier it becomes, and the more ominous it seems. But if you unlock it, you may find priceless heirlooms and precious metals, valuable aspects of yourself that were cast aside but hold unique strengths and deeper authenticity. This metaphor can help you face the fear of venturing into the unknown. Rather than thinking of your nightmares as punishments, view them as clues to a hidden labyrinth you've inherited. The labyrinth may be dark, but it also harbors wisdom, memory, and power that can enrich your sense of self once acknowledged and integrated. Remember, your shadow doesn't just consist of negative traits. Sometimes your hidden potential, courage, creativity, or resilience also lurks in the shadows, unclaimed because you once believed you weren't worthy or skilled enough to own it. As you tread this path, don't forget to practice self-compassion. Shadow work can bring up shame or regret about times you acted out, got angry, or behaved in ways you later regretted. It's vital to hold yourself gently during this exploration. A reflection point to keep in mind is that every trait you've disowned served a purpose at some point in your life. Maybe it protected you from emotional harm or helped you navigate challenging environments. A second reflection point is to recognize that integrating your shadow isn't about becoming morally perfect. It's about becoming whole. When you understand your entire emotional spectrum, you have more choice about how to respond to life's challenges. You're less reactive, more grounded, and more empathetic to others facing their own shadows. One real-life example is a manager named Trina who often woke from nightmares where she was caught in a swirling storm. She always felt under siege by roaring winds she couldn't control. In therapy, she realized this storm symbolized the chaos she felt inside. She was a people pleaser at work, incapable of setting boundaries, and overextending herself to avoid any semblance of conflict. Her repressed resentment built up into a whirlwind of anger and exhaustion. Once she began to set small boundaries and acknowledge her rightful needs, the nightmares gradually calmed. This not only improved her well-being but made her a more effective, empathetic leader. Her staff noticed she was less stressed, more direct, and they respected her newfound clarity. That's the core transformation possibility. Once you integrate your shadow, you stop wasting energy on internal battles and channel it into more constructive avenues. Another supportive psychological idea in this journey is self-efficacy, the belief in your capacity to handle life's challenges. Often, nightmares give us a glimpse into areas where our self-efficacy feels shaky. If you repeatedly dream about failing an exam, for instance, it may be a sign that you doubt your competence, not necessarily academically but in a broader life context. Strengthening your self-efficacy through skill building, seeking support, or celebrating small wins helps reduce the terror fueling your nightmares. When you trust that you can face life's hurdles, the menacing dream symbols might lessen in power, because the unconscious no longer needs to amplify your insecurities to get your attention. At this halfway point in our journey, if you find yourself resonating with these ideas, please show your support by liking this video and sharing it with someone who might benefit. Even a simple comment can help others find this resource and begin their own exploration of the shadow. Every piece of engagement nurtures our community, reminding us that self-discovery is not a lonely road. We're in this together, unraveling the complexities of the human mind. Let's look at another scenario, one that involves relationships. Suppose you're having nightmares about your partner betraying you. Yet in waking life, you see no direct evidence of betrayal. Jung would say to look inward. Is there a part of you that feels unworthy of love or connection? Are you projecting these anxieties onto your partner because you struggle to trust in general? Maybe this sense of betrayal is actually your unconscious highlighting how you betray yourself, by silencing your own needs, or by not honoring your own dreams and aspirations. This is where the shadow gets really intriguing. It can contort external figures in your dreams to symbolically depict internal conflicts. The betraying partner might be a stand-in for the ways you turn away from your own authenticity. Confronting this possibility can spark an aha moment, leading to healthier self-esteem and more transparent communication in your relationship. By acknowledging the hidden cracks in your self-concept, you pave the way for stronger bonds with others. To work practically with these realizations, try a short reflective practice before bed. Ask yourself, what emotions did I avoid or downplay today? Where did I feel the most tension or anxiety in my body? Did I express how I really felt to someone close to me? Even a few minutes of honest self-examination can prime your mind to process feelings before they escalate into a nightmare. And should a nightmare come, it might be less dramatic, because you've already let some of the emotional steam off the pressure valve. Another technique is to engage in gentle body-focused exercises. Activities like yoga or deep breathing meditations can help regulate your nervous system, creating a supportive inner environment for the unveiling of the shadow. When your body feels safe, your mind is more willing to let the unconscious material surface without sending you into panic mode. Let's return to the idea of transformation, which is central to Jung's work and an integral part of the awakening pattern we're following. When we dare to look into the darkness, we often find gold. Think of the mythic hero's journey, where the hero must descend into an underworld, face the dragon, and emerge not only victorious but also wiser. That dragon can be seen as your nightmares, your repressed shadow. You're the hero armed with awareness, stepping into the underworld of your unconscious. And the prize? Greater self-knowledge, emotional resilience, and the freedom to choose who you want to become rather than be ruled by unexamined fears. This transformation isn't a quick fix. It's a gradual awakening, shaped by ongoing curiosity and compassion. Yes, you might slip into old habits or face new challenges that spark fresh nightmares. Yet each confrontation with the shadow builds your tolerance for discomfort and your capacity for empathy, both for yourself and for others. Empathy grows because once you've danced with your own demons, you're less judgmental toward others grappling with theirs. In modern contexts, this can translate into being more patient in disagreements, more open to feedback, and more resilient when faced with life's inevitable ups and downs. By now, you might be feeling both intrigued and possibly a bit uneasy. That's completely normal. The idea that our nightmares are valuable teachers can challenge our desire for quick emotional fixes or black and white answers. But trust that within the swirling images and midnight terrors, there lies an invitation to wholeness. The more you listen, the more you glean. As Jung famously said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light but by making the darkness conscious. In making your darkness conscious, you also uncover your untapped light, your undiscovered strengths, wisdom, and compassion. Let's gather these insights into a cohesive understanding. Nightmares serve as dramatic messengers from your unconscious, pointing you toward areas of unresolved tension, repressed emotion, or unacknowledged gifts. Through Jung's concept of the shadow, you learn to see these dark aspects not as enemies but as parts of yourself that, once integrated, fuel profound personal growth. This integration is supported by other psychological ideas like archetypes, which offer universal motifs to help decipher your dreams, and the personal unconscious, which frames how your individual life story shapes your inner world. Real-life examples, from people plagued by locked doors in dreams to those chased by wild creatures, show that the process of facing nightmares often mirrors your journey of self-acceptance. And when you apply practical tools like dream journaling, active imagination, and mindful self-reflection, you begin to transform these once terrifying images into opportunities for greater authenticity and emotional resilience. How do you carry these revelations forward? First, commit to open dialogue with your unconscious. If you have a nightmare, resist the urge to forget it by morning. Write it down, explore its emotional tone, and ask which part of your waking life it might be referring to. Second, cultivate practices, such as meditation, therapy, or creative pursuits, that give you a safe space to express and explore your inner world. Third, remember this journey is about wholeness, not perfection. You are allowed to make mistakes, feel uncomfortable, and take breaks. Each step, no matter how small, contributes to the larger process of awakening to your deeper truth. In terms of application guidance, consider setting aside at least one evening a week for introspection. After dinner or before bed, dedicate 30 minutes to review any dreams from the previous nights. Use a simple framework. Identify the key emotions, images, and interactions in the dream. Ask yourself what these elements remind you of in daily life. Does a sense of running in circles in your nightmare match a project at work where you feel stuck? Does a monstrous figure remind you of the critical inner voice you can't seem to silence? If so, think about small, actionable steps you can take. Perhaps you'll decide to speak more honestly with a colleague, or practice compassion for yourself when you feel self-criticism brewing. Over time, these small moves accumulate, creating a ripple effect in both your dream life and your waking life. For those wanting a deeper dive, a second practice is to transform recurring nightmare symbols into art. Even if you don't consider yourself creative, give it a try. Doodle the monster, paint the swirling storm, or write a short poem capturing the emotional essence of the nightmare. By bringing the image into the light of day, you drain it of some of its haunting power, and you might glean new insights as you engage it directly. These small rituals of creative exploration often generate a surprising sense of relief and understanding, further bridging the gap between the conscious and unconscious parts of you. Finally, let's talk about community. One of the best ways to sustain this transformational process is by connecting with others on a similar path. Whether it's an online forum, a support group, or just a few friends equally intrigued by the mysteries of the mind, sharing your insights can make all the difference. You'll realize you're not alone in struggling with nightmares or with unearthing parts of yourself you've long ignored. Others' experiences can validate your own, and you can offer wisdom gleaned from your journey to help someone else on theirs. As you reflect on all we've covered, consider this closing self-reflection question. What treasure might be hiding behind my darkest fear? This can be your compass each time you confront a nightmare, a reminder that within the discomfort lies an important clue to your wholeness. Thank you for joining me on this exploration into the shadow, nightmares, and the hidden truths within us all. If you found value here, I invite you to subscribe and become part of our growing community focused on unraveling the depths of the psyche. Leave a comment below about any insights, questions, or experiences you'd like to share. Your story may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Hit that like button if this topic resonated with you. And as you go forward, remember that every nightmare, every tremor of fear in the night, carries a spark of wisdom just waiting to be discovered. Embrace it, learn from it, and watch as your unconscious revelations transform your days in ways you never thought possible.